Right now, someone near you is going to yawn. Maybe a friend sitting across from you, maybe a stranger on a video call, maybe even someone in a video you're not even fully watching. And in the next few seconds, without meaning to, without choosing to, you're going to yawn too. You'll tell yourself it's because you're tired. That's the easy answer. It's the answer your brain hands you without asking any questions. But the real answer is far stranger, and it has almost nothing to do with how much sleep you got last night. Because here's the strange part. You don't even need to see a real yawn to catch one. You can read the word yawn in a sentence, over and over, the way you're reading it now, and your jaw will start to ache. Your eyes might start to water. Something deep in your nervous system is responding to a word on a screen as if it were a real event happening right in front of you. For most of human history, nobody thought twice about this. A yawn was just a yawn, something your body did when it needed more air, more oxygen, more rest. A simple mechanical reflex, no different from a sneeze or a hiccup. But when scientists actually sat down and studied it properly, they found something nobody expected. And it changed the way researchers think about the human body entirely. Yawning isn't really about oxygen at all, and it definitely isn't really about you. Let's go back to the 1980s. A psychologist named Robert Provine became, by his own admission, obsessed with yawning. Not in a casual way. He spent years filming people in waiting rooms, on park benches, in offices. He counted yawns. He timed them. He tracked how long it took for a yawn to spread from one person to the next and how far it traveled through a crowd. Then he tried something unusual. He showed people videos of strangers yawning just to see what would happen. People who had no idea why they were watching this footage, sitting alone in a quiet room, staring at a screen showing someone they'd never met, open their mouth in a long, slow yawn. What Provine found was strange. About half the people who watched that video yawned back within minutes. Half. From a screen. From a stranger who couldn't see them, who had no idea they existed, who would never know their yawn had traveled anywhere at all. Think about that for a second. Your body is responding to a complete stranger's face on a screen as if it carries important information. As if it's a message you need to receive and respond to immediately, even though nothing about your environment has actually changed. Provine kept digging, and it got even stranger. He found that blind participants, people who had never seen a yawning face in their lives, yawned when they simply heard a recording of someone yawning. No image required, just the sound. A low exhale, a stretch of the jaw, captured on tape, was enough to send the same signal racing through someone's body. So the yawn wasn't traveling through sight. It wasn't even traveling through a shared physical space. It was traveling through something else. Something that didn't care how the information arrived, only that it arrived at all. So what is that signal actually for? Here's where it gets even stranger, because yawning isn't just a human thing. Chimpanzees do it too, and not just on their own, in isolation, when they're sleepy. A researcher named Frans de Waal, who spent decades studying primates and how they relate to one another, found that chimpanzees catch yawns from each other in almost exactly the same way humans do. Show a chimp a video of another chimp yawning, and within a short time, that chimp yawns back. But here's the detail that changes everything. The chimps in de Waal's research were far more likely to catch a yawn from another chimp they actually knew. A friend, a group member they had history with. Strangers, or chimps from unfamiliar groups, barely registered at all. Familiar faces spread the yawn like wildfire through the group, while unfamiliar faces left barely a ripple. That single detail turned yawning from a strange biological glitch into something deeply social, something tied to relationships, to closeness, to who belongs in your circle and who doesn't. So scientists started asking a much bigger question. If yawning spreads more easily between individuals who feel close to each other, between friends rather than strangers, between group members rather than outsiders, could a yawn actually be a kind of empathy detector? A hidden signal of how connected your brain feels to someone else's? In 2007, a researcher named Atsushi Senju decided to test this directly using children. He showed them videos of people yawning, sat back, and watched carefully to see who caught the yawn and who didn't. Most of the children responded the way adults do. Within a few minutes, the yawns spread through the room, jumping from screen to child, almost like a chain reaction. But one group of children almost never caught the yawn at all. Children with autism. This wasn't because they weren't paying attention. The children were watching the screen closely. They saw the yawns happen, frame by frame, just like everyone else. But their bodies simply didn't respond the same way. And autism is often associated with differences in how people process and mirror other people's internal states, their emotions, their physical sensations, their unspoken signals. For a while, this felt like the missing piece, the answer everyone had been looking for. Yawning spreads because it's tied to empathy. The more connected your brain feels to someone else, the more your body automatically copies what theirs is doing, almost like an invisible thread pulling the two of you into sync. It's a clean story. It fits everything we already believed about empathy, about connection, about what makes humans feel close to one another. But here's the twist nobody saw coming, and it came from a place nobody expected. Genetics. A few years after Senju's work, a geneticist named Elizabeth Cirelli ran a massive study using twins, thousands of them, identical and non-identical, all carefully tracked. She wanted to know exactly how much of contagious yawning came down to genetics, how much came down to environment, and how much came down to things like empathy, intelligence, and emotional sensitivity. The results were almost the opposite of what everyone expected. Genetics played a huge role in whether someone caught a yawn. Roughly 40% of the difference between one person and another came down to their DNA, something written into them long before they ever met another human being to feel empathy toward. But empathy itself, intelligence, even how tired or alert someone was at the time, almost no connection at all. Some of the most empathetic people in the study barely caught yawns. Some people who scored low on empathy measures caught them constantly, almost every single time. And there was something else. Older adults caught yawns far less often than younger people, regardless of how warm, caring, or socially connected they were. The contagious yawn seemed to fade with age in a way that had nothing to do with personality at all. So if it's not really about empathy, if it's not a hidden measure of how much you care, what is contagious yawning actually doing? What has it been doing this whole time, quietly, in the background, for as long as humans have existed? Here's the deeper layer. Some researchers now think contagious yawning isn't a window into how much you feel for someone else. It's older than feeling, older than empathy, older than language, older than almost anything we'd recognize as social, in the modern sense. It might be a leftover signal from a time when small groups of early humans needed to stay in sync, not emotionally, but biologically. Picture a small group of your ancestors sitting together as the sun starts to go down. The light is fading. The air is cooling. One person's body, sensing the shift, starts winding down towards sleep, and that person yawns. If that yawn spreads through the group, something important happens. Everyone's internal clock starts shifting towards sleep at roughly the same time, and the next morning, the same thing happens in reverse. The whole group becomes alert again at roughly the same time too. A group that sleeps together and wakes together is a safer group. Someone is always rested enough to keep watch through the night. Nobody is left half asleep while everyone else is wide awake and active, out of sync, vulnerable, separated from the rhythm of the people around them. Under this theory, a yawn isn't really a message about emotion at all. It's a message about timing. It's your nervous system quietly broadcasting, "My body is shifting state right now," to everyone nearby. And their nervous systems, shaped over hundreds of thousands of years to listen for exactly that kind of signal, respond automatically, without thought, without choice. That's why it doesn't matter if the yawn comes from a close friend, a total stranger, a photo on a screen, or even a sentence describing a yawn in a video you're watching about yawning. Your body isn't checking who sent the signal or how much you care about them. It's simply listening for the signal itself, the same way it has for as long as humans have lived in groups. And this might explain something else too, something you've probably felt but never had a word for. Have you ever noticed how a tired room feels almost contagious? You walk into an office late at night and everyone looks drained, and within minutes, so do you. You sit in a long lecture and one yawn near the front seems to roll backward through the rows like a wave until half the room is yawning within a minute of each other. It doesn't feel like exhaustion spreading, it feels like permission spreading, as if one person's body quietly gave everyone else's body the go-ahead to feel what it was already feeling underneath. That might be closer to the truth than empathy ever was. Not permission in an emotional sense, but in a biological one. A kind of ancient agreement passed silently between bodies. The same agreement your ancestors relied on around a fire, in a shelter, in the dark, long before anyone had a word for tired or bored or together. So the next time you're sitting in a meeting, or on a long car ride, or scrolling through your phone late at night, and you feel that first small tug at your jaw, that tiny stretch behind your eyes, pay attention to what happens next. Watch how it moves, from one face to the next, around a room, across a screen, through a sentence like the ones you've just been reading. It feels personal. It feels like a small moment of connection between you and whoever or whatever set it off. But it's actually one of the oldest pieces of communication your body knows how to send and receive. Long before you had words for tired or bored or in sync with you, your ancestors had this. A silent signal, passed body to body, around a fire, across a clearing, keeping the whole group on the same invisible clock. So go ahead, yawn. Someone near you already has.